And we are live. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Here's another episode of You Don't Have to Be Perfect. You already know the intro, baby.
You just gotta get started, don't overthink it. Just go where your heart is, turn your dreams and your goals. Let your goals shape how you live. Success is inevitable if you're willing to give up your old self to become someone new, to be the true you. Never be afraid to do you in front of the critics, sideline judges, non-believers, people holding their grudges. Appreciate the hate, it comes with the winning. When your wife's making the money, you're unstoppable from the beginning. Your excuses are useless. Let your actions be part of the solution and watch the income it produces. Recognize greatness, a supreme revelation. Years of blood, sweat, and tears to become an overnight sensation. Can't do it alone. I should have said this first. Teamwork always makes the dream work.
Yes.
Teamwork always makes the dream work.
True story. True story.
Yes.
True story.
Teamwork
The
makes
dream
the
work.
dream
We
work.
all need
And
that.
we are here for another episode. This is season 2, episode 2. And we got my brother Reed on from RG Pillar.
What it do, world?
Now-
What it do? Thanks for having me, Paz. Appreciate the opportunity to be on this platform.
Oh man, the pleasure is all mine, bro. I want you to tell people what RG Pillar is. I named this episode of the show "A Step into the Right Direction" because I know what RG Pillar is, but in our local area gonna get to see RG Pillar in person March 1st, so people are excited. But let the masses know, what is RG Pillar.
It's being part of oneself, though, man. Honestly, the initials that you look at, the R and the G, that's me, definitely so. But when I started impacting my inner community, right, and just being one with each individual, just particularly figuring out who they were, what they brought to the table, their interests, their life, you know what I mean, where it was trying to go in life. I became that pillar. I became somebody to look to, for inspiration, to be a voice of reason. You understand what I'm saying? So just being a part of the community, man, and just giving back and being able to teach somebody something different, from what we learn on a regular basis, right? Just to further ourselves in, whether it be excelling in the next career, making better choices and decisions just in life, right? But that's who RG Pillar is.
I love it. So RG Pillar is so much more than just clothing and apparel. It's a lifestyle that you are.
It's an experience.
I love it.
For sure.
I love it. And what I love is that RG Pillar is doing something different. You're venturing into a very competitive market, which is the shoe industry, right? There are a lot of black clothing lines, but there aren't a lot of really successful black shoe companies.
That is true.
So what made you decide to go in the direction of shoes as your main product versus everyone else doing shirts, t-shirts, sweatshirts as merch?
If you look at the fashion industry, that's how we all start out. A t-shirt, a sweater, a hat. We don't challenge ourselves to become abnormal, right? But when we look at what fashion is, the footwear is what pretty much helps us travel through this world. You're not walking barefooted. So I says, if I'm gonna take a risk with fashion, yeah, we could do the shirts. I could find my tailor. My tailor's right there in your home state, Philly, right? But again, let me take a choice at what kind of footwear I'm gonna design. There's a lot of competition in the footwear fashion, but as minority, we don't take it upon ourselves to actually, I'm gonna take a risk with this. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna build some sort of relationship and get some education on where shoes really stem from and how it derived and what they do for our body. This is what's going to carry me throughout my 8 to 16-hour day. I'm going to be standing on my feet for a little while, right? I need something to support me. This sweater look good. This hat look good. Okay, we can all do that. But challenge yourself with the footwear, right? And see what comes of that. It's not an easy task, but I didn't give up on myself, right? I took a jump, I took a leap of faith, and I put a little bit of money into it. But I also had the right resources. It didn't take me, 6 months. It took me 2 years. So there was some time that I had to actually invest in this, as well as the dollar, but the time and the effort was really important, right? To come to a finished product and to be suitable for your foot once you put it on.
I love what you said there. So I wanna rewind and break back some things so we don't speed past too fast. Right? First, you said you had to invest time and money. Right? So when you first got into, really getting them, putting your RG Pillar shoes together, did you know the shoe game, or was it something you had to learn in order to come to the designs and everything else that you have come up with?
I had an idea because of the kind of money we spent, right? The brands that we represented or we idled or we put on our feet, we had to do some comparison, right? Because not all those shoes, they fit well, they were comfortable, they just look good, and we got all the compliments. But when you step out there, you're saying to yourself consciously, damn, these things are not that comfortable, right? So I challenged myself in that way, especially with being flat-footed. So that was first and foremost. I don't wear comfortable shoes because it's not the shoe, it's the foot. So let's start with the internal. Let's make sure that this foot is going to support me, but you got to think orthopedic. Not that I wear orthopedic shoes, but you got to go in that direction because we got to stabilize the body for weight purposes. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, the time was well spent in that first, just to make sure before I design this shoe, is this shoe going to be comfortable internally? And it had become such. Right.
I love it. I love it. So you designed a designer shoe.
Yeah.
Because RG Pillar's a designer shoe.
Yeah.
But you made sure that the designer shoe was comfortable.
First.
Because a lot of these designer shoes don't be very comfortable.
And
they be fly to put on your feet.
That's
you
correct.
know.
And a lot of times,
and then
they
don't break in well.
I got those reviews, right? I'll ask somebody who wore Louis, who wear Gucci on a regular basis. My brother being one of those people. They'll spend $1,200 on a pair of shoes. But bro, how long are you willing to walk in those shoes? Are they comfortable? How do they really feel on you? And they will give me their honest opinion. They're not that comfortable. I says, okay, well, that just brings me back to the drawing board. Based on what I've created already, I know structurally these aren't ready, but the first thing I'm going for is to make sure that my consumer says I feel good in your shoes. No matter what.
I love it. I love it. So I really want to park there and come back because there were some parts that I missed.
Sure.
But I want to make sure, for those who are listening, right, when you're building a brand, what Reed said he wanted to make sure that his consumer was comfortable in his brand. So did you find the comfortability to be more important than the design itself at first, right? Because you thought the comfortability would bring long-term customer versus the design, which can be changed?
On the product that wasn't created with quality, right, in mind, your consumer tends to return that product for whatever reason. We want return on investment. So if I took time to invest in myself, the return is just the dollar, not the product. My consumer is comfortable with it and they're going to hold on to it and embrace it till it falls apart. That's how I feel. It's people first, not the money. The money will come, brother.
I love it. I love it. Because you're giving lessons to these up and coming business owners. Because you may not know RG Pillar now, but you will definitely know RG Pillar in the near future if you haven't bought a pair.
Let me
Because Reed has done
grab a
some
shoe.
amazing
I'm gonna
things.
grab a pair, but I'm gonna grab a shoe just so the consumer can see it in real time.
Go ahead, please, and I'll talk. Reed has done some amazing things to really establish a strong foundation for this company behind the scenes. So when the world hears about RG Pillar on the level that it will, it was built on a strong foundation to last. Many businesses that we encounter, especially in our community, we don't build them last. We don't build them
I'm
with a strong exit strategy in mind. So I am grateful to say that when Reed was building out RG Pillar, he had the customer and consumer in mind. I know this brother tried many different things until he had the right product and building up a strong team. So
I
yes,
I'd like to show you guys something. You may not be able to see it, but this
you gotta
glows.
lift it up just a little bit higher so that they can see it. Gotta put it to like chest level. Yes, that's hot. Yes, yeah, that's hot.
All right. So
Yes,
I've
sir.
created a lot of different variations of style of pieces. Right. I didn't just minimize myself to where my creativeness could take me, but we're across this world. We want to travel the world, right? But it starts right here in my city.
I love it. I love it. And I want to. I don't want to speed past some things that you said earlier. One of the
Sure.
things you said is that, oh, look at the shoes, ladies and gentlemen, and you can purchase them at the Ultimate Streetwear Expo. You also can get them online, so you will be able to come out and get some RG Pillar shoes and all of the gear when it comes out. You know, on March 1st. Look at the quality of that shoe. High quality shoe. Yes, sir. Yes. So that's gonna be awesome and amazing that RG Pillar's coming out. But what I love, and I didn't want to skip past this, you said that in building RG Pillar, you also had some resources and relationships,
Yes, correct.
right? A lot of times we speed past how important resources and relationships are. I always say the two most important things in life is information and relationships, right?
Correct.
Inf- Applicable information. So information that you can apply to make your life better, and the relationships that are going to co-sign you before you get in the room. So for RG Pillar, how do you feel your resources and relationships helped you to build the foundation that I know is as strong as it is for RG Pillar to, now roll out to the world?
For a while, I didn't have resources, right? I had a skill. I knew I was talented. That's as far as I was going. Because definitely finances is what suppressed me for a minute, right? But I started to get out there and have conversation with those who have already experienced these kind of things, who have already built good business, successful in business, sustainable business, right? Who's developed a few things, who can guide me. So these became my mentors, not only just a resource, but my mentor. Am I doing this right? Am I taking the proper steps? Am I doubling down, right? Am I missing something? So if I didn't have the education first and then the knowledge and the know-how to do it, I can't execute anything. But it had to come from somewhere with prior experience and understanding of what I'm doing in business, because other than that, I'm deemed to fail. And there is no failing it. There's no such thing as failure. I don't care how long it takes. I gotta keep paving the way, man. And this is part of my journey. Real talk. But I appreciate the resources that I have.
And I love it, right? Because there are people right now that's starting their business and saying, "Well, I don't have any resources." And I love that you started to say you didn't have any either. You had a talent, and you had a will.
That's it.
To keep pushing, you know, because I know when we first met years ago, you know, RG Pillar wasn't as developed as it is
As
now,
I am
right?
today, correct.
And there's been times you've even got rejected by me, right? You know, let's be honest.
Straight up.
You know, like some people don't, and part of the journey, right, isn't everyone that you meet just because they don't support the idea at that moment doesn't mean they don't support the idea.
Correct.
Right?
I accept rejection. I only accept rejection because I know I'm not ready. It's not because you're not prepared for it. It's not because you don't have a great product. Something about your business is not structurally sound at that moment in time. Go back to the drawing board, figure out where you may be lacking certain things. Set yourself up for the future success story, not the now. Because you want everybody to take that ride with you. So if I can take the bumps and the bruises, I'm going to take the criticism along with it. We need that. All of us need it. Right? Just to straighten us up.
Yeah. And right, how we deal with a no, right, will determine how well we accept a yes. Right? Because I wasn't rude to you when I said, "Nah, brother, that ain't it for me." You know what I mean? It just didn't. We weren't on the same.
It didn't
path,
coincide
right?
at that moment in time.
I had a mission. You had a mission, and it just didn't coincide.
At that moment in time.
It didn't mean that you didn't have a good plan, right? It didn't mean that you didn't have a good product. Sometimes, right? And I'm gonna say this for other people, right? When you're building your dream, you can't be afraid to say no to someone else's.
And that's right? All right.
I was still in the infantile stage of building when I was building, right? I couldn't, even though I had some resources, right? I wasn't as advanced as people thought I was, right? So I had to be real with myself.
To be able to take on the next idea
with someone
who's
else,
still structuring all
right? And say, nah, that can't
not
be
right
me.
now. Yeah.
Right. And a lot of times when we are rejected, it's not even us that they're rejecting. Sometimes they're not ready.
Not ready.
It may not be you're not ready. They might not be ready because you were ready and I wasn't. I couldn't take another thing onto myself at that moment.
And as a stand-up man in business, you got to respect that.
Yeah, and it didn't alter our relationship, right? It actually built a level of respect because I can tell you no with my head up, not no with my chest out, right? And there's a big difference, right? No with your chest out is arrogant. No with your head up shows I'm willing to look you in your eye and say this is what it is, right? And it didn't deter you. Right, because what's this? 6 years later,
it's a bridge,
and now you don't have to be perfect.
It's a bridge built,
and
it's a bridge built,
and it's so amazing, cause right that in these 6 years I've watched your progress. Right, I've cheered you on. You know, I've seen you go from nah, brother, please don't show me another one of your shoes to oh, bro, what's going on? Right, because it wasn't that you were doing anything wrong. I'm in my own bag.
And I wouldn't stop.
And I applauded it.
I wouldn't stop.
Right? And you never stopped.
For what?
And I loved it, right? You wouldn't stop until I had to applaud it. Right? And that is, and I say that to someone else, right? Because if you see that you have good people around you and they're just not ready for you, sometimes you can't stop.
Right.
right? You couldn't stop or couldn't stop giving me an update. You know, you couldn't stop doing what it needed to be done for RG Pillar to get to that next level. You know,
I
and now
believe
we
in
get to share
myself.
this story of
I believe in
resilience.
myself first.
Yes.
Before anybody else. I know how qualified
Yes.
I am. I know how talented I am. I don't question my ability to do anything. It's when that person is ready to deal with me, will we create a bond in a relationship. Other than that, I don't fall on hard times based on rejection. Reject me. That's what tape players was for. Eject, put another one in. Let's rock out. You're going to find the music that you enjoy listening to. Same way with these brands. Same way with a person. So I appreciate you, Paul. Straight like that. For this opportunity to express myself
Yeah.
with this platform, no holds barred. This is a bridge built.
Yeah, but I think it's so important because people think that great relationships are built in acceptance. Our relationship was built in
And
rejection.
rejection.
You know,
We had to figure
our
one another
relationship
out.
was built in, you know what I mean? It was built in. We met through a mutual
Correct.
friend, right? And then it was built in rejection because he had a plan that had nothing to do with me.
That had nothing to do
You
with
know
me.
what I mean? And it was brought to me, you know, like, hey, read. And I felt bad that I had to say
Right.
no. But if, a good brother, and I'm gonna give him the credit again, a good brother, Onaje Muweed, said to me one day, your yes has no power if you
And
cannot
no.
say no. So for me to have any power over being affirmative in any place, right? I have to be willing to say no to places that don't fit at the moment, right? Was RG Pillar a great brand? Yeah, we're talking about it. We got to show somebody the amazing shoes, right? And we're gonna talk about, because I know I'm not the only person that you dealt with some rejection with,
Correct.
right? Because building a black shoe company is different. That's not something most people are used to, right? So, how many times do you think you may have seen rejection along the way?
I'm not that old. But I think, given because of where I was in life, rejection was almost like my best friend. Not that I couldn't do it, but my status, they'll tell you no quickly because you're not where they see you should be. Right? So it's almost like they're taking a risk for failure before they even know how far this can actually go. So I was used to hearing the word no quite often, right? Oh, you got a great thing going. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's dope. That's fly. I can see it, but not right now. All right. Well, I'm gonna go off over here and I'm gonna create something else. And I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna show you something different. Eventually, I'm gonna pique your interest. And I've done that with quite a few people, even those who thought it wasn't gonna work. I stand strong today.
And so the great Les Brown says that success is being able to go from failure to failure to failure without losing steam,
It's
right?
locomotive.
You are an epitome of not losing steam, because I won't say they were failures,
Correct.
right? But they were setbacks sometimes. They
That's all it
were
was. That's all it
rejections,
was.
right? Because the product wasn't, and I can't say it's a failure because the product was a solid product. So it's not, failure is a bad product, and then you got to start
You gotta
over.
start over. Right.
Product, it wasn't a product
Right.
issue, right? It was a timing issue sometimes. It was whatever reason, right? Those dots didn't
Yeah.
connect. Those Lego pieces didn't snap in, right? You still continued to push forward anyway, right? And I want that I want that story of resilience to be something that we stand
Yeah.
on
Oh,
right
yeah.
now, because there are people right now who may be willing to give up, right? Who may think
Not
that
an option.
that last
Not
rejection,
an
right,
option.
was the last rejection they can take. What would you say to someone, especially when they get rejected by your inner circle? Because when I rejected you, I was actually being put in your inner circle. I was being, even though the circle changed a little, right? At that moment, I was put into your inner circle and still had to say no. So, what do you say to someone who's like, man, I just got put around these go getters, and these go getters didn't go get me. They didn't understand my plight, but I'm still pushing. What would you tell someone? How would you you know
Go
tell
back and
someone to keep smiling, keep pushing?
go back and re-strategize your thought, right? That's their circle. Create your own, right? You're the leader in all that you do, right? It starts with you and it stems with you first, right? But where did AI come from? The human brain. We are the creators. So you think it stops with that one idea that you just got rejected for the last 10 years? Create another one. But I bet you in the next 2 years, when you're creating that next idea, it's going to be better than the last. Keep going. Keep going. I had to inspire me first before I allow somebody else to do it. It may not be the best inspiration, but I know for sure I want what's best for me before anybody else do. Oh yeah, keep going.
I love it. I love it. Cause you said something real. And I want to park there. I had to inspire me before I can inspire anyone else. I normally take it to just a step back and saying I had to love me before I can love anyone else. Or I had to learn to love that I wear big glasses. I had to love to learn, that I'm not as fast as I used to be because I ripped my knees up. Right? I had to learn to love, my arms are too short to box with God. Right?
Accept who you are. Accept who
Right?
you are.
Yeah. Yes.
Real
Right.
talk.
So
Yeah.
I love that you said that, right? Because there's a um there's a real power in accepting who you are, right? And
Right.
realizing that no one else can be Reed, right? No one else can, no matter how hard they try, they can't live in your skin. So to be in a space where you accept yourself, where you love yourself, where you keep pushing, in an industry that doesn't really love black folk. I think what Virgil
Yeah.
Abloh is probably the, and he's not even here with us no more. He's probably the
Mhm.
biggest designer that we have had
Black
with
designer
black
that we
shoes,
had. Correct.
you know, off white, God bless the cell, was probably
Yeah.
the biggest thing we had in black shoes.
Yeah.
You know what
Black
I mean?
shoes. Yeah.
All of these other brands are not owned or operated by us. And
At
it's
all.
and and I don't, being that we're getting ready to put out Curing Racism, I don't want to get too caught up in splitting us apart, right? But there is something in empowering ourselves so that we even a playing field, right? If you know, I remember my big brother Scott Duffy. One time I was at a conference with all of these millionaires and billionaires. Like when I first met Scott, I went to give him my business card, and he said, "Do you want me to have your business card or your number?" And they looked confused. And I said my number, and he let me program my phone number in his phone, and then I sent a text from his phone number to my phone. And I said, this is your brother Paz. I'll be with you for life, right? At that moment, he said to me, anyone that's truly going to do business is never going to track a yellow pages or a business card. They're going to go through their to see who they know.
Check the Rolodex.
If you're not in their phone,
Right.
then you don't count. And I
You're
made
not
it
important.
that. Yeah, I made it at that point to be in the phones of some of the right people. Right, my
That's right.
name,
Correct.
my number, my social media. You
Mhm.
know, something you're
Mhm.
going to remember me.
Any form of
Right.
way to contact me directly. Correct. Yeah.
Yes. So
Mhm.
I love that you started with nothing, and even tell stories of being rejected by your inner circle, right? And still persevered to be as successful as you are today, right? Getting ready for a global launch, you know, and there aren't too many people who can say, I started from the bottom, I came with a plan, my plan didn't originally work, I continually shifted the plan, but I never took my eye off the goal. So
Never.
that in itself is rather impressive, you
I
know.
appreciate
And then you're doing it in a city that isn't even known for fashion.
it. For
I
fashion.
want you to, I want you to tell them where you're building RG Pillar out of, which is hilarious to me.
Boston, Massachusetts.
Yes,
The
yes,
home, the home of white supremacy.
yes. I love, you know, I, and it's definitely that, you know, as you listen to the Bill Russell stories of how he would win championships and still be called a nigga, you know. So,
Because it didn't matter. Well,
yeah, it didn't matter.
I've come to this point, man. For me, I've already experienced racism. I've already experienced discrimination at its highest level, right? But when you learn the truth, it's not about race. It's about us being humane because we're all that. Black, white, pink, brown, yellow, green, turquoise. You're still human. And if we teach, we can reach and we can learn from one another. Other than that, I'm unbiased to all of it. I'm
You
about
speak,
building. And that's
you
where
speak
RG
in my
Pillar came from.
language. You, you know, that's why. Shout out to my brother Paul Hoyt. You know, we're
Mhm.
getting ready to release the book Curing Racism, right? You know, a white man and a black man came together, spent 6 years researching. The book is written. What we're now
And
doing
I
is
need my issue. I love
yeah, the
my
book is written and completed. What we're working on now is really just
right.
fine tuning the presentations so that
Okay.
people, because we're looking to change the world one soul at a time, right? I can't, you know what I mean? I can't change. Um, People want to change the minds of people. I don't need to change the way you think. I need to change the way you feel, right? I need to be spirit to spirit, heart to heart, you know. So, curing racism is that, but
That
I
is very
don't,
humbling. That is very humbling. Thank you.
yeah, but we don't, in doing that, we can't forget, right, the oppression that we are still dealing
Dealing
with.
with it.
So
Still
as
to
we
this
are
day.
curing racism,
Mhm.
because there's only one race, right? God's human divine race. As you hold down any color, creed, culture, you're stopping this human race from running at its best level, right? If everyone was seen equally and loved the same, we would hit a
No
whole new level.
plateau.
But because we deal in fact and we deal in fear and we deal in fiction, I should say, that's it. Fact, we deal in fear and fiction, right? We find ways to separate one
That's
another.
correct.
So that's why I wanted to point out that RG Pillar is being built out of Boston, Massachusetts, because um, most people, when they think of fashion, right, they think of New York, they think of LA, right, they think of Miami, right, they don't think of Boston, right. So to build a strong brand out of Boston,
Right.
to find the resources that you needed to out of Boston, even though you had to explore out of Boston and come
Out of
home,
Boston.
but to
That's right.
find and build out of Boston is amazing, right? And I wanted to point that out because there's some kid sitting in it doesn't think that they can build a brand because they're nowhere near New York, and you're proof that with enough
Untrue.
energy, enough chutzpah, enough, willingness, anything can happen, right? Because you have some major investors behind you that we can't discuss right now, but you know, it is not because you grew up in New York. It's not because you grew up in LA, right? It's not because you were in a space where they, even though New Balance is made out of Boston, people don't realize that, that's not a high-end fashion shoe. That's not Balenciaga, right? That's
No,
not,
no,
any
no.
of these shoes that you are looking not to compete with, but to be able to have your shoes side by side with,
Side.
right?
Correct.
So I think that is so impressive, right? To
Okay.
do that and to keep going. But I tell you, the time goes fast. We have 18 minutes left. So
Right.
I want to make sure you give them the website at least once now,
Oh yeah.
because even though we'll give it again, but we went through 40 minutes and and we haven't said the website once. So give them the website where they can
Well,
find it right now.
if you want to find the cabbies, you can go to rgpillar.com. That's the website. We are definitely at the top of Google, so you don't have to go and do some old strategic research. You'll find us at the top of the page. There's only one of one. RG Pillar style. The
I
ultimate.
love it. I love it. So, you're talking Google Analytics. I love these kinds of things, because these are things, as business owners, right?
We
We
have to be
may not
relevant.
pay attention to, right? You know, I do a lot of business in collaboration, not because I have to, but because
It's
I really
necessary.
believe in empowering others, right? I
Necessary.
believe, one of the things you hear me say all the time is that poverty is violence,
Correct.
and I can't
Correct.
eliminate poverty by only enriching myself,
Correct.
and only enriching my company.
Correct.
That's why we do events like the Ultimate Streetwear Expo. So not only do you get to see a brand that we're building, but you get to see all of these other brands you can support. We get to, you get to see them in sometimes in their infant stage, and some of them in a more further stage, but none of them are yet, unfortunately.
I was once one of those in the infant stage, right? And I appreciate the fact that I was
Yeah.
there.
I mean,
We was born an infant. If
yes.
you can't embrace being a baby, then you're never gonna grow up.
Yes, I love it. And what I love the most about what we talked about in this interview is that you didn't give up. And I think that is so important in building any brand, to find your niche and stick to it. Right? And your niche was design. It's not just shoe, right? Because you showed a hat, you showed a
No,
shoe. I know there's shirts. I know you got jerseys. I know. So, to find your passion and turn that passion into a profit, no matter what. So RG Pillar, and what Reed is doing, is
find one of these.
so impressive. Yes. Show them. Yes.
Your brand don't come out with
I love it.
dominoes. That's gold flake inside. This is all 14 karat gold flake inside this clear domino. That's the RG Pillar
Wow.
logo. Cash box. This is gold flake. This is all designed. And this box was created in Boston. In a wood factory with a strap. So we building merch.
As you
We
as you
innovative as we
see,
could possibly get.
ladies and gentlemen, you're getting high quality everything. With not just the shoe, the actual packaging, the design and everything. So it's so well thought out, you know. So you're getting, when you get an RG Pillar product, you get an experience in every product. That's why I'm so grateful that you're coming down. You know, March 1st, we are so excited to have you at the Streetwear Expo.
Right.
You know, so more people on this side of the world get to get some RG Pillar in their life. You know, and I'm so grateful that we got to share more of the story today,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Because
So
people
correct.
don't know, you know, that you overcame to come, and you know, you had a rough upbringing, right? This didn't come easy. You know, you know, you weren't born with a silver spoon, were you?
No, absolutely not. Nothing was fortunate enough for me. Huh? We was always less fortunate, right? But I had all that I needed to as a youngin just to survive, right? Of the fittest, the survival of the fittest. We remember that statement, right? I live by that. I'm gonna take that to my grave, and that's why I never give up.
So I always say, right, I haven't been less fortunate, right? I've been more fortunate to be creative. I did, you know, because
Oh,
those days when mom didn't have no meat to go on that
you figured
sandwich,
it
I
out.
had to be more creative on how I was gonna make that thing taste good, right? You know, I had to, you know, I was more right to be
You was more
creative.
innovative.
You
You
know,
was more innovative in the
I
kitchen,
made
correct?
sandwiches. Yes, right. So as we got
Fluff
older,
sandwiches, you know.
and I always say
Mhm.
my kids were robbed of that innovation because they didn't have they didn't have the starvation.
No, they have the starvation, right? The
Right?
manual, the manual.
They didn't have the starvation, so they have
No,
the same
sir.
kind of innovation, right? So
Right, right.
you know, their innovation is from a different level, right? There's, you know, from I think there's a great form of creation that comes from desperation sometimes, right?
Yeah, you got.
Uh,
Yeah. You're
and
right.
that's not a color thing, right?
No,
Because
no.
there are many stories of people who didn't come from that silver spoon, you know, and in their desperation created something amazing. You know, I don't know if it was a desperate thing, you know, for RG Peller, but it definitely was. I know it was. I know your background needed a life changing experience, right? Not just
When
for
you
you, but
understand
for you
what
and
and my
coming
family.
behind you.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody that you create coming behind you. But when you understand struggle and you want out, you'll become as innovative as possible and a lot more creative. You know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So it is
Mhm.
to have, you know, not just, you know, because we're from the generation that are breaking the generational curses, right? You know, our kids are not allowed to make the same mistakes we made, right? You know,
We
we
were
were
preferring
born and raised in the crack era, you know, and if
right.
you weren't in the inner city, you don't know how the crack era actually really harmed our
Affected
communities,
your
you know. And
yeah.
next week's guest, oh man, next week's guest, Ollie Reeves, will tell you how the crack epidemic really ripped our lives apart. Ollie is my brother. You know, he wasn't born from my mother, but we've been brother and me have been friends since we were 8. So Ollie did years. I'll let him tell his story next week. But you know what happens when we don't decide to break the curse. You know, I want to thank you if no one else thanks you.
My
I
pleasure.
want to
My
thank you,
pleasure.
Reed, for your perseverance. Not for this interview. The interview is here or
Right.
nor there, right? We'll share that to the world. The world gets that. But I want to thank you for your perseverance. It's easy to give up, right? It's easy to lose focus on your dream. It's easy to work a 9 to 5 and not to take anything away from anyone working a job.
I
You
still
know,
do that too.
you
You know what
know,
I'm
but
saying?
but
You pass no
it's
judgment.
hey,
But
because
it's
you got
easy
to
to walk
invest
away
in your
from your
dream,
dreams. It's
right?
easy to walk away from that. But I'll tell you what
Hey,
I did though, Paz. I was already a designer as a little boy. I was already filling up paper with art, but I also used this voice of mine to sing. And then I became some sort of rapper. Then I started producing, right? And opening up studios. But it wasn't about me because, again, we're in Boston, Massachusetts. Ain't nobody looking for the next best talent. That was even from me being young. So I went through that trials of being rejected, even down to New Edition. I had a conversation with New Edition. They wasn't ready for me, but I was okay with that because they're in the beginning of their career. But I grew up realizing you can't reject somebody's talent because they may be the next best thing. So when I utilize the knowledge that I have as an older individual, impacting my community, working for the child care facility, I started realizing what talent truly was aside from myself. And it was a whole bunch of it around me. But because I had the knowledge and the know-how and I knew what talent sound like, it was like I was that magnet. Can you listen? Can you take a ear? Can you read this? Can you give me that time? Every word. Yeah, sure. Let's do it. Let's go sit over here on the private time. Let me see what you got. That pushed me to open up these music studios. So now the traffic is coming at an abundance. I can't stop it. But it was never about the money. How much of this can we turn into a package and then push it to New York? Then I started traveling with these kids. Man, you my
that
story,
is
my story.
that is awesome. You know,
So I had
when
to
we
find
pour into
myself in
that
all
next
that, man.
generation,
Yeah,
I I applaud you for that. You know, thank you for that. You know, I
for
teach
sure.
entrepreneurship to youth. Most of my kids are gang affiliated, formerly incarcerated, so I know what you're doing.
Them are the
I
ones that
love
we
to hear.
really wanted to touch the lives and the souls of, the ones that need that second
Yes,
chance at life.
yes, yes. So I
Yeah, brother.
definitely thank you. You know, for doing that. You know, because it is again right as we are building our own dreams. You know,
Right.
to one of the things I talk about is that we must lift as we climb.
As we
You
climb.
know, so and the easiest way or the best way to lift as you climb is to invest in a youth. Someone who can who may be able to lift a generation, right? Because you know we're so much older now. Even though when I shave, I don't look it. Today I forgot
I
to
don't look.
shave, so you can see the grays out, but
And
I'm
I made
proud
sure
of the
I made
grays.
sure I did before I get on this camera.
It's funny. I was running and running. You know,
Yeah,
we do so much in our community. When
you
I
understand.
realized what time it was, I was like, shoot, if I go shave, it's not gonna be enough time.
It's
So
not.
you know, it's but I laugh and I say,
Listen, you
this is
know
what
black
God,
don't crack, pause.
this is what the universe wanted. They wanted you to see the grays today,
The
right?
grace.
They wanted
That
you to know,
there's your growth. There's your wisdom, right?
yeah,
That goes to show
and
this man have
and
been a few
it's
places.
amazing.
He knows some things. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, and
Don't cut
as
them
I
all out.
talk to our youth, you know, we don't feel old, right? Because we take care of ourselves, right?
Very
But we
well. I
realize
might add.
you know, we realize that we are older, right?
We are older.
And
Correct.
and and it's important that we pour into this next generation. So I'm glad that you talk about recognizing talent. I have a young man who I get to give a $5,000 check to tomorrow, who was told he was going to go to jail when he first was put into our program. He's now, with this check, he about $15,000 in. You know what I mean? He ain't going to jail. You
He ain't
know,
going to jail.
yeah, all he needed was someone to listen, to love, and to pour into him. You
That's
know,
right.
I didn't even see his talent. And this is what, so when you're talking about doing the right thing, I was doing the right thing. He saw my talent and made me notice and forced me to notice him. You know, he's like, hey, you working with my friends. You need to be working with me.
Me, right.
You know?
I need an opportunity as well.
You know, and him being assertive allowed his friends to also catch on. You know, so I always tell that young man, thank you. Thank you for being assertive, because you now helped a bunch of your friends that were sitting on the fence that didn't know which way to go, because you did it, they did it too. You know, and all
it takes a leader.
One.
It takes a leader.
Only one.
That's it.
That's all it takes is one.
Yeah,
so yeah, I told you, Reed, this hour would go faster than you think. You know,
I appreciate the minutes.
We're the fastest. We're the fastest, realest hour on the web.
And got some great content out all at the same time.
Oh man, because what we really want to do is share the true stories and the personalities behind the brands that are either doing good work in their communities, you know, because everyone that I bring on is doing more than just selling product, right? They're doing good work. They're good people.
Give back.
You know, they're people that you need to know for some reason, you know, that you just may not yet. So I want to make sure, outside of telling them that March 1st, you will be in Allentown for the Ultimate Streetwear Expo. Yes, we are hyped for that. You know, outside of that, I want you to tell them how they can purchase RG Pillar again right now. If someone watching us live on LinkedIn or YouTube,
anybody's watching right now, you definitely go to rgpillar.com, rgpillar.com, and you can find the cavities up there. We're under construction right now, but you will find the shoes, and then we'll be uploading the products so you can make your purchase.
Yes. So as and this is what I love about the brother here, even as he's under construction, making new things, he didn't stop you from being able to buy the shoes. So make sure you go purchase the shoes, you know, support a brother that's done something amazing, that's built a brand out of a unique space, has a great story. You know, RG Pillar, you know, is more than just a shoe. It's an experience, you know. So I want to thank my brother Reed for coming out with us today. And I want you, you know, to do what we do every week. So I'm going to ask you to say our personal manifesto with us, right? Our personal manifestos, you know, I'll say it once through, and then I'll ask you to repeat it. So my personal manifesto goes like this. I love me. I'm worthy. Some people may not like me, but I don't care, because the people that matter will be glad that I'm here. So I'm going to ask you to repeat it after me. Ready? I love me.
I love me.
I'm worthy.
I'm worthy.
Some people may not like me.
Some people may not like me.
But I don't care.
But I don't care.
Because the people that matter.
Because the people that matter.
Will be glad that I'm here.
Will be glad that I'm here.
And yes, we are. We were glad, Reed, that you spent the hour with us here. You don't have to be perfect. We were glad that you told us the story of RG Pillar. We were glad that you did not give up. We were glad that you told the people to go to rgpillar.com. We are glad that you are the persevering person that you are. Because if you would have given up from the first time I told you no, today, my bro, we couldn't have said yo. So I thank you, right, for spending this hour with us. You know, I tell everyone, make sure you to go rgpillar.com. Next week, we're going to actually dive into my childhood, because we will have Ali Reeves on, the founder of Yuppie, which is an amazing clothing line in itself. So we are giving you brands on brands, and we're giving you special people. So you go get your RG Pillar. Don't just wait. Show up, right? Show up at the Streetwear Expo in a pair of RG Pillars, right?
Make sure you have them before you show up. Correct.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is Paz Simpson. Show them your shoes one more time. Show them the brands one more time. The hats, the shoes before we sign off.
So y'all did- y'all
I
y'all
love
seen
it.
one the first time, but I'm gonna show you a pair so you know that this is definitely they're ready to go. And this is a
Yes,
size
sir.
12, so
Yes, sir.
yes,
And we want to thank our brother Reed because you don't have to be perfect. You just have to get started.
there you
Like,
go.
share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell